Welcome to biology class. You know that we have completed two of the chapters under unit 1. They are the living world and biological classification. And in both these chapters we have noted down various systems of classification. What is classification? How classification is done? What are the criteria that have been considered for classification? And we have also noted down the various systems of classification. Just recall those systems of classification. When I have introduced you to the chapter biological classification, I have told you there were various systems of classification and many attempts have been done on classification. It may be in Linnaean period, pre-Linnaean period or post-Linnaean period. And we have discussed that there were various systems of classification like artificial system of classification, natural system of classification, phylogenetic system of classification and phenetic system of classification. And you know that, or you have clearly noted down that on what basis this system of classification had classified the organisms. Artificial system was mainly based on one or two characteristics, that is the morphological characters, whereas natural system of classification not only included morphological characters, it also included certain other characters like the internal features of the organisms. Phylogenetic system of classification was mainly based on the evolutionary relationship or based on the similarities as well as differences in the genetic relationship organisms have been classified. And the other system of classification, that is phenetic system of classification, mainly considered each and every characteristic of an organism. So based on that we have noted down three different types of taxonomy. Do you remember those three types of taxonomy? They are numerical taxonomy, chemotaxonomy and cytotaxonomy. Numerical taxonomy, chemotaxonomy and cytotaxonomy. Just refer those points of classification system. I am not going to repeat it again because I have discussed it in detail in the previous chapter when I have introduced you to the biological classification chapter. Okay. So here we will directly study about the kingdom Plantae. So you know that in various systems, based on the attempts made for classifying the organisms, one of the system of classification that has been successfully done was R.H. Whitaker's 5 kingdom system of classification. So in this 5 kingdom system of classification, we have noted down 5 different kingdoms. They were kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. We have studied in detail about the first 3 kingdoms. They are kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista and kingdom Fungi. So kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae, we have just noted down the general characteristic features. We have not discussed about the classes. Okay, classification of kingdom Plantae we have not discussed in that chapter. So we are going to study in detail about kingdom Plantae in this particular chapter. So we will note down what are those classes or how is the classification done under kingdom Plantae, on what basis classification has been done and what are those classes and what are the characteristic features under kingdom Plantae. Earlier in the year 1883, a biologist named Eichler has categorized or groups kingdom Plantae into 2 groups. They are Cryptogamy and Phanerogamy. Kingdom Plantae has been categorized into 2 groups by Eichler in the year 1883 into 2 groups. Those 2 groups are Cryptogamy and Phanerogamy. So he has included those plants which do not bear seeds into cryptogamy. So cryptogamy includes those plants that do not produce or do not bear seeds. Whereas phanerogamy are those group of plants which produces seeds or which bears seeds. So cryptogamy are seedless plants, whereas phanerogamy are seed bearing plants. Okay, seed bearing plants. So cryptogamy is further divided into 3 groups. They are Talophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Whereas phanerogamy has further divided into 2 groups. They are Gymnospermae and angiospermae. Okay. So why these seedless plants and seed-bearing plants have been categorized? There are various features or various criteria for categorizing them. Okay. For example, phanerogamy. Phanerogamy is a group which includes seed-bearing or seed-producing plants. They have been categorized into two groups, further divided into two groups. They are gymnospermae and angiospermae. So on what basis they have divided them into gymnospermae and angiospermae, even though they are seed-bearing? Gymnospermae are those group of plants which bear seeds, but seeds are not enveloped or seeds are not covered. So we generally consider the plants included under gymnospermae as naked seeded plants. Okay, naked seeded plants, because the seeds are not enveloped. Whereas angiospermae includes plants which produce seeds, but seeds are enveloped or covered by fruits. So such group of plants were included under angiospermae. So gymnospermae are those plants which bear naked seeded plants, seeds are not enveloped, whereas angiospermae are those plants which bear seeds which are enclosed within the fruit. So in this way, based on various criteria, Kingdom Plantae has been categorized into 5 different divisions. Okay, 5 different divisions. So among this, the first division, Thallophyta, you can note down the 5 different divisions. Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnospermae and Angiospermae. Okay, these are the 5 different divisions. So under Thallophyta, initially, earlier, Thallophyta included even bacteria, fungi along with algae. Thallophyta included bacteria, fungi and algae. So all the 3 were included under Thallophyta. But later on, by observing certain characteristic features, this bacteria as well as fungi have been excluded, have been removed from Thallophyta, and they have been placed in different kingdom. And now you know where these bacteria as well as fungi have been placed, in which kingdom they have been placed. So bacteria and fungi, earlier they were included under Thallophyta, but now they have been removed from there and they have been placed in different kingdoms. Now Thallophyta includes only algae. Okay, algae. And you should not get confused that algae, there is one more type of algae known as cyanobacteria, right? Blue-green algae. So they are also not included here. Blue-green algae also have been separated and they have been placed in a different kingdom. Okay, but Thallophyta now includes algae. The type of algae may be green algae, red algae or brown algae. So that we will discuss when we are studying about algae. Okay, so now note down that the Kingdom Plantae has 5 different divisions. They are algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, or you can note it down as Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnospermae and Angiospermae, which includes algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay. Now let us discuss about the characteristic features of algae. General characteristic features of algae. Algae are simple, chlorophyll bearing, thalloid autotrophic organisms. Algae are simple organisms. They have chlorophyll. So where are chlorophyll pigments present? Inside the chloroplast. So they have got chloroplast in their cell and they are thalloid. So what do you mean by term thalloid? Thalloid is thallus-like. If the body of the plant is not clearly differentiated into roots, stem or leaves. If the body of the plant is not clearly differentiated into root, stem or leaves, such a plant body is considered as thallus or thalloid. Thallus or thalloid body. Okay, note it down. Thallus or thalloid refers to the plant body that is not differentiated into root, stem or leaves. And these algae are autotrophic. Since they have got chloroplast and chlorophyll, they are autotrophic. Coming to the habitat of algae. Algae may be found in aquatic habitat or terrestrial habitat. Among aquatic habitat, algae may be found in freshwater or it may be found in marine water. They may be found in freshwater or marine water or marine habitat. And there are certain group of algae which are known to be found in brackish water. Brackish water, where the salinity of the water is in between freshwater and marine water. Okay? Brackish water habitats are those where the salinity of water is in between freshwater and marine water. Now let us note down what are the terrestrial habitats in which algae are found. Algae are mainly found on moist stone or rocks. Moist stone or rocks. They may be found on soil and they are also found on wood. And there are certain algae which are found in association with other organisms. So what are those organisms where there is association of algae and fungi? They are lichens, right? We have already noted down what are lichens and we have studied in detail about the lichens. So algae may be found in association with fungi in case of lichens. And algae are also known to be found on the body of other organisms or other animals. For example, there are certain algae which grow on the body of a kind of bear known as sloth bear. Algae are also known to be found on the body of other animals like sloth bear. So these are some of the terrestrial habitats of algae. So algae may be found both in aquatic or terrestrial habitat. So now let us discuss about the size and form of algae. Algae varies in size greatly. So they may be very small or they may be huge or massive structures. There are certain algae which are very small like microscopic, and there are certain algae which are very huge or giant which may grow up to around 70 meters height. Okay, so algae vary greatly in size. So form of algae. Algae may be unicellular, they may be filamentous or they may be colonial. So example for unicellular algae. So what is the example for unicellular algae that we have discussed in the previous class? We have come across the term in the previous class. Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas is a unicellular. Chlamydomonas is a unicellular algae. And there are certain algae which are filamentous. For example, Ulothrix, Spirogyra. Ulothrix, Spirogyra are filamentous. And there are certain algae which occur in colonies or colonial forms which usually appear in colonies. For example, Volvox. For example, Volvox is a colonial form. So these are the various body forms of algae. And as I told, algae varies in size greatly. There are certain algae which are microscopic. For example, Chlamydomonas is microscopic. Volvox is microscopic. And there are certain algae which may be very huge or giant structures like kelps. Kelps are usually found in marine habitat and they can grow up to 70 meters height. 70 meters height. So these are some of the characteristic features of algae. So now let us discuss about reproduction in algae. So how do algae undergo reproduction? Algae can undergo all the three modes of reproduction, that are vegetative, asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. Vegetative mode of reproduction is mainly by fragmentation. Vegetative mode of reproduction is mainly by fragmentation. So here the algal body, if it is fragmented, each fragment can give rise to a new organism or new algal body. That is known as fragmentation. Then asexual mode of reproduction. Asexual mode of reproduction is mainly by producing asexual spores. Algae can undergo asexual mode of reproduction by producing asexual spores. Some of the asexual spores formed in algae are zoospores, by producing asexual spores. There are different types of asexual spores formed. Some are zoospores, aplanospores, etc. So zoospores and aplanospores are examples for asexual spores produced by algae. So zoospores are motile spores, whereas aplanospores are non-motile spores. So zoospores, they have got flagella, that's why they are motile, whereas aplanospores, they do not have flagella, that's why they are non-motile. So algae can produce asexual spores which may be motile or non-motile. Now let us discuss the mode of sexual reproduction. Algae can undergo sexual reproduction mainly by fusion of gametes. You know that sexual reproduction is usually by fusion of gametes. Fusion of gametes to form zygote, right? Fusion of gametes to form zygote. So here the algae can undergo 3 different modes of fusion of gametes based on the size of the gamete, okay, or based on the appearance of gametes. So sexual reproduction can be of 3 different modes. They are isogamy or isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous mode of reproduction. Isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous mode of reproduction. So already we have discussed about these modes of sexual reproduction. So what is isogamous mode of reproduction? Fusion of 2 similar or similar sized gametes. Fusion of 2 similar sized gametes is known as isogamous reproduction. What is anisogamous? Anisogamous is fusion of 2 dissimilar sized gametes. Fusion of 2 dissimilar sized gametes is known as anisogamous. Oogamous is fusion of a single large non-motile female gamete with small motile male gamete. A fusion of single large female gamete, non-motile female gamete which is static. Static means stationary, which will not move. Single large static female non-motile gamete with the fusion of small motile male gamete. So such a fusion of male and female gametes is known as oogamous mode of reproduction. So we'll note down some of those algae which undergoes isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous mode of reproduction. Algae named Eulothrix undergoes isogamous mode of reproduction. Then Spirogyra also undergoes sexual mode of reproduction by isogamy. Spirogyra. But there is difference between Eulothrix and Spirogyra. Mode of sexual reproduction in Eulothrix and Spirogyra. Eulothrix produces 2 similar motile gametes. Fusion of 2 similar motile gametes in case of Eulothrix, whereas in case of Spirogyra there is fusion of 2 similar sized non-motile gametes. Note down the difference between these. Eulothrix, in case of Eulothrix there is sexual mode of reproduction by isogamous or isogamy, where there is fusion of 2 similar sized motile gametes. Spirogyra, there is fusion of 2 similar sized non-motile gametes. Now, some of the algae like Euderina. So Euderina undergoes anisogamous mode of reproduction. So oogamous mode of reproduction is mainly seen in some of the algae like volvox and fucus. Volvox and fucus. So these are the general characteristic features of algae. So next, let us note down the economic importance of algae, and later on we will discuss about classification of algae, division algae into various classes. Now let us discuss about economic importance of algae. Algae is known for carbon dioxide fixation, increased level of dissolved oxygen content in their habitat. They act as primary producers. They are the source of food. They are used as fodder, and they produce commercially important compounds or products known as hydrocolloids. Let us see what type of mechanism takes place in algae such that they can fix carbon dioxide. You know that carbon dioxide fixation mainly takes place through a phenomenon known as photosynthesis. Algae are chlorophyll bearing organisms or chlorophyll bearing structures which can undergo photosynthesis. So these algae capture the carbon dioxide, take up the carbon dioxide and then convert it into carbohydrates by a process known as photosynthesis. Okay. So on an average, around 50% or half of the total carbon dioxide fixation that takes place on earth is mainly through algae. Note it down, almost half of or 50%, at least 50% of carbon dioxide fixation is mainly through algae by a process known as photosynthesis. You know that there are various other forms which also help or which also fix the carbon dioxide on earth. So among them, 50% of the carbon dioxide fixation, 50% of total carbon dioxide fixation on earth is mainly through or mainly by algae through a process known as photosynthesis. Now, you know that algae, majority of the algae are found in aquatic habitat. They may be in freshwater, brackish water, or they may be in marine habitats. So being in aquatic habitat, and since they can undergo photosynthesis, since they are autotrophic, you know that they take up the carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. So since they undergo photosynthesis, they are autotrophic, they mainly increase the dissolved oxygen content in their habitat. Okay, in their habitat. Next, since the algae are photosynthetic and autotrophs, they form the primary producers. Producers are one of the basis for any of the food cycle. Producers are basis for food. Basis for food cycles. It may be food chain or food web. You have studied about food chain and food web in your lower class, right? So food chain or the food web, the basis, the organisms that occupy the base of this food chain or the food web are the producers. So algae are the primary producers and they form the basis for food cycles. It may be food chain or food web. Algae is known to be used as food. Okay, there are Porphyra, laminaria, algae like sargassum, Porphyra, laminaria, sargassum, they are used as food because they are rich in vitamins. They are rich in vitamins, especially vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin. Since they are rich in vitamins, they are used as source of food. And there are certain algae like unicellular forms of algae like chlorella. There are certain forms of algae named chlorella. They are rich in vitamin B. They are rich in vitamin B. And they are also rich in protein. They are rich in protein content. So since they are rich in protein and vitamin B, this algae like chlorella, and even one more algae named spirulina. Algae named spirulina, they are used as food supplements. They are used as food supplements. They are available in the form of tablets. Vitamin B supplement tablets or protein supplement tablets. So these algae which are rich in protein and which are rich in vitamin B, they are used as food supplements even by space travelers. They are used as food supplements even by space travelers, because they are rich in protein, they are rich in vitamin B. Okay. Now, let us discuss about algae which is used as fodder. What do you mean by fodder? Fodder is food for cattle. Okay. Fucus, sargassum, fucus are used as fodder. Next, algae are known to produce hydrocolloids, substances known as hydrocolloids. These hydrocolloids are water holding substances. Hydrocolloids are water holding substances. Water holding substances. Okay. So since these substances, they are water holding substances, they are used commercially for various purposes. Okay, they are used commercially for various purposes. Okay. For example, there are various types of hydrocolloids, and these hydrocolloids mainly are obtained from the type of algae known as brown algae or red algae. In algae there are different types: green algae, brown algae, red algae, and among these, especially the marine red and brown algae, they may produce certain hydrocolloid substances or water holding substances. So some of these water holding substances are algin. Water holding substances are algin, carrageen are some of the water holding substances. Algin is a water holding substance or hydrocolloid mainly obtained from brown algae. Whereas carrageen is a water holding substance which is obtained from red algae. Okay. So there is one more kind of water holding substance that is extensively used for culturing microorganisms in laboratories. They are called as agar. You might have heard about agar. There are certain water holding substances known as gelidium. Agar is obtained from the algae named Gelidium gracilaria, etc. So these algae, like red algae like Gelidium gracilaria, mainly produce agar, and this agar is used in laboratories mainly for culturing the microorganisms, and in addition to that, this agar is also used in preparation of ice creams and jellies. Okay, so these are some of the uses of algae as food. So next, let us discuss about classification of algae. Just note down these points where algae is known for carbon dioxide fixation. Algae increases dissolved oxygen content in their habitat. They are the primary producers and they form the basis for food cycle. They are used as food. It may be supplements of vitamins, it may be supplement of proteins, and it can be used as water holding substances, and they may be used in even in preparation of ice creams as well as jellies. And in addition to that, they are also used in various other purposes, or they are commercially used in various other purposes. Okay. Next, algae is used as fodder. Some of the algae like sargassum and fucus are used as fodder for cattle or goat or sheep, etc. And they algae are known to produce certain hydrocolloids, which are water holding substances. So these are the economic importance of algae. So next, let us discuss about classification of algae. So how are algae classified? What are the classes of algae? Algae are mainly classified based on the type of pigments present in them. The type of pigments. The type of pigments present in them, or the type of reserve food present in them, based on composition of cell wall, based on composition of cell wall and based on flagellation. So algae can be categorized either based on pigments, reserve food, composition of cell wall, flagellation, etc. There are various other criteria for classification. So some of these are pigments, presence of pigments, reserve food, composition of cell wall and flagellation. So based on these criteria, algae are categorized into three classes. They are Chlorophyceae, class Chlorophyceae, class Phaeophyceae and class Rhodophyceae. Class Chlorophyceae members are commonly called as green algae. They are commonly called as green algae because of the pigments present in them that impart green color. Phaeophyceae are commonly called as brown algae, and Rhodophyceae are commonly known as red algae. Okay, Chlorophyceae, green algae, Phaeophyceae, brown algae, Rhodophyceae are commonly known as red algae. So next we have to discuss about each class of algae, and we have to note down various characteristic features of members of these classes of algae, and we have to note down some examples.